Okay, let's talk about the internet. I mean, we use it every single day. It's pretty much like air at this point. But what is it really? You tap your phone and boom, a whole world of information just appears. It feels like magic, right? Almost like it's just this cloud of data floating around. Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and see what's actually going on.
So let's get right to it. Is the internet some magical cloud that just exists in the air all around us? It's a really common way to picture it. But honestly, the reality is way more interesting and a whole lot more physical than you might think.
The answer is a huge, definite no. The internet is not some abstract idea. It's a thing. A real, tangible, gigantic system made of actual hardware. We're talking wires and computers and servers, all of which have agreed to operate using a shared set of rules. And that's the big idea we're going to unpack.
All right, so let's dive into that physical system. Because when we say the internet is a web, we mean that pretty literally. It is a planet-spanning web made of actual physical wires.
You know, the first thing to get your head around is that there's no single internet machine somewhere. It's actually a network of networks. Think about it. Thousands of smaller, independent networks run by governments, universities, and companies all over the world, and they've all just agreed to connect and talk to each other. No one person or company owns the whole thing.
And how do they all connect? While through this incredible physical foundation. I mean, we are talking about literally hundreds of thousands of miles of fiber optic cables running across the floors of our oceans. We're talking about massive data centers, some the size of warehouses, and countless routers and switches that bring that connection right into your home. And get this, even when you're on Wi-Fi, that wireless signal is really just the very last step in connecting you back to this huge, physical, wired network.
Okay, so we have this massive global tangle of hardware. But how do all these different pieces of equipment made by totally different companies in different countries actually understand each other? Well, that's where the rules of the road come in.
To make this whole thing work, there are two core rules we've got to understand. First, you have protocols. The easiest way to think of these is as the shared language everyone agrees to speak. And second, you've got IP addresses, which are basically the unique street address for every single device plugged into the network.
Let's look a little closer at protocols. These are basically a super strict set of rules for how to have a conversation. They tell a computer exactly how data should be packaged up, how it should be addressed, and how it should be sent, so that a server in, say, Japan and a laptop in Brazil can communicate perfectly. Without these shared rules, it would all just be digital noise.
And then you have the IP address. Every single device that's connected to the internet, your phone, your computer, your smart TV, you name it, gets a unique number. It's just like a mailing address for your house. When you ask for a website, the network uses your device's IP address to know exactly where to send the information back to.
Okay, so now we have the physical wires and we have the rules for communication. So let's do something fun. Let's follow a single piece of your information as it takes an incredible journey across the internet. This is a pretty wild story.
So, when you send an email or click on a web page, your data doesn't travel in one big piece. Instead, the system shatters it into these tiny little chunks called packets. Every single one of those packets gets stamped with the destination IP address. Then, routers, which are like traffic cops, guide each packet along the most efficient path at that very second. The packets might even take completely different routes to get to the same place. And finally, once they all arrive, they're instantly put back together in the correct order. The amazing part? This whole wild journey happens in milliseconds.
So who are the key players that make this whole packet journey possible? Let's meet the cast of characters that are working behind the scenes to make it all happen.
First up is something called a node. Now, this is just a fancy catch-all term for any device that's on the network. That's right, your phone is a node, the big server hosting a website is a node, and all the routers in between are nodes too. The internet only works because millions of these nodes are all cooperating to pass information along.
Now, while any connected device is a node, they usually play one of two main roles. Your web browser on your laptop? That's a client. Its job is to ask for information. The powerful computer that's hosting the website you want to visit? That's the server. Its job is to respond with the data you asked for. This simple client-server model is the foundation for almost everything you do online.
And of course, the router. We've mentioned it before, but it is so important. A router is basically a specialized computer whose only job is to be a traffic director. It looks at a packet's destination address, checks the current traffic on the network, and makes a split-second, intelligent decision about where to send that packet next to get it closer to its final destination.
So, when you put all of this together,
This decentralized network of networks, the way data is shattered into packets, these intelligent routers, you end up with a system that has a truly remarkable quality. It's basically designed to never fail.
This quote right here really gets to the heart of the whole design philosophy. From its very earliest days, the internet was built to be resilient. There is no central control switch. There's no single weak spot. If a construction crew accidentally cuts a fiber optic cable or a whole data center goes offline, the packets just find another way around it. It's that simple.
Now, here's a crucial and kind of counterintuitive idea. The internet itself doesn't actually make any promises. It doesn't guarantee your packets will arrive in order or even how fast they'll get there. All it promises is to make a best effort. Now, that might sound like a weakness, but it is actually the system's greatest strength. By not being locked into rigid promises, the network gets this incredible flexibility to adapt to any problem on the fly.
So this is how it all comes together to be so tough. Because the whole thing is decentralized, there's no single point of failure. There are always multiple paths for data to take. If one tiny packet gets lost along the way, the system just has to resend that one tiny piece, not the whole file. And because the network itself doesn't care if it's sending an email, a cat video, or a video game, it just moves the data, it is endlessly adaptable.
So you see, the internet isn't really the websites or the apps that we use. It's the foundation. It's that global, physical, rule-based system for moving data from one place to another. All the amazing things we use every day, from social media to streaming movies, are just applications built on top of this incredibly robust and independent foundation.
And that leaves us with a final, really big thought. We've just looked at a system that was designed from the ground up to be decentralized, cooperative, and unbelievably resilient. So the question we should be asking ourselves is, what can we learn from its core principles? How can we apply these ideas of decentralization and finding new paths around problems to build stronger, more resilient systems in other parts of our world?